Welcome, I'm Mike Shatwright, and we'll be talking about building another ship on East Africa Line. So, this ship will be the Risian Luxury Cruiser Tier 6. There is another Risian Cruiser that is Tier 5, so just to make the difference, to say there is a difference, so that's why I put the T6 here. For my budget builds, we usually go with the... we have budget build rules. Usually we have a day. Our builds must usually our day one builds all items must be in the drop table. There'll be exceptions for that, but this doesn't really matter too much, other than that there is an item that comes with the ship and we can use that. And limited early mission, and since we start with a day 30 build, we'll limited amount of TFO rewards and any story mission rewards are considered. But yes, those are that's a quick summary of the builds of day 1, day 30, and day 60. Moving on to the second page of rules. Any item that is considered expensive should not be replaced in later builds. There's no word, but since I'm only offering basically almost a day 60 build really, and it's not really going to be a problem. Item mods are generally not considered, and items here are not item upgrades are not really used for our builds, because the cost of upgrades can be expensive. As always, the buff powers are usually limited to rank 1 or 2 until day 60 builds, with a few exceptions where a player is guaranteed to get access to a rank 3 buff power. However, these are few and far between, and we're not covering any today. Items from lockboxes, free stores, Zen Store, or Lobby Store, or even other events are not considered. Event items or buff powers from the same event to earn event ships are allowed. So that's simple. Now moving on to some additional things. Now usually when I say that my day 30 build is day 30 is roughly the time when you get a complete tier 5 of a reputation, and it's still expected by this time that most players will have completed all the story missions by this time. And day 60 is roughly the time when the player would have got to tier 6 of a reputation. At this point, any real deal cost that is easy to reach at day 60 than it is at T40, partly because players would have refined most of the rewards. So what am I talking about this one? This is one of the few events this year. Outside of commitments on my end, I've been forced to do the ship talk right at the end of the event. It's not midway through it. And there's a few other things that I could go over, but I've not written them down this time. So let's actually move on to the ship. Now this is a Risian Cruiser Luxury Cruiser Tier 6. It's got a reasonably high hull rating, decent shields, and some decent inertia ratings. Now it's big. As a cruiser, it's got a Commander Engineering seat at Lieutenant as the default. It's got Lieutenant Commander Tactical, a Lieutenant Commander Universal with a specialization of Temporal Operative, which is written as TO here, Lieutenant Science, and an Ensign Engineering. And it's most cruisers are 4 forward and 4 aft weapon slots available. And as most cruisers are engineering heavy, we get 5 engineering slots, 3 science and 3 tactical. And most cruisers also get get 4 device slots, but no dual cannons. This particular console is a solid tone wave generator which sucks enemies in a bit and then spits them out again. Starship trait is leisurely placed, which allows you to alter your boost your science powers, which you could consider using. A cruiser. Now, this is the first time I've actually covered a cruiser in the Builder series. The cruiser class is basically the best to start attacking with. While most new players' initial thought is survive, it's actually not. It's more about getting the attention of the enemies or the aggro and then surviving. With Static Online, there's actually a few hours that a cruiser can use to help them perform their roles better, and those are underneath the weapon the weapon status in the middle of the screen are various other places on the console. But let's go and talk about my build. Here is the ship. Where I've named this particular ship the RSX Multipass. Multipass is a very good reference to a certain movie some of you may know about, and it's a particularly well-known joke. So with the Risian Cruiser, this is the ship as I've done it. This, believe it or not, is mostly my day 60 build, but this is purely because a lot of this is actually rewards. Half of this is reward stuff, and the other half is equip stuff. Because most of the stuff you're going to be getting from day 30 to 60 is it's basically your you get gear from various other reps. Now, I'm going to get started. Let's start with the tactical consoles. The tactical consoles are going to be I've got 2 of the standard space relays. Very good. The unique console is the Locker Custom Fires Control. Now, this is unique among tactical consoles. It does not boost any weapon type. It boosts the critical chance and the static penetration and the weapon power for the weapon. However, this critical chance is ridiculously high, even compared to the what many would consider the best in slot ability. So it's considered by many it's very good. I would suggest putting this best in slot in but they're going to be a lot later. I'll cover that later. So, basic consoles with the Glocker Custom Fire controls from the Discovery reputation in the tactical consoles. Science. I've gone for basically hub regen, which is very nice to have, very much important to have for a cruiser, because the cruiser you are somewhat important. You are going to get hit a lot. I got shield humidified, so shields are regenerated a lot quicker and easier. Very nice. And I've just boosted the shield restoration skill as well, so you're basically repairing your shields as much as you can. Next up, and those are all everything besides all those 3 science consoles are effectively drops or craftables. The first of our unique gear is the reinforced armaments from the trilithium-laced weaponry set from Into the Nexus. This particular one provides increased power rate, which means you improved hull and shield hull restoration and capacity. So improves your ability to restore your health a lot better and increases your ability to do it in the first place. Now I have also picked up a second piece, the Nexus omnidirectional weapon, which means we can collect the 2-piece set, which means fire cycle haste for energy weapons and increased flight speed. Both of these are very, very nice to have for a cruiser to get more aggro and to keep the damage down. Admittedly, the 3-piece set is actually something you may want to even consider getting as well, but it's just a matter of fitting in the torpedo somewhere. This torpedo might be considered in for the day 30 build, but that's next up is the standard RCS accelerator. This base increases your turn rate by quite a bit, and I recommend this or even a neutronium alloy, which you can both pick up our craft. Then is the polaric modulator. This one is increases inertia, flight speed and turn rate, and increases your engine power based on your weapon power. So very, very nice to have. And here comes the quantum phase converter from the Sunrise mission. Now this one is actually one I'm going to be covering in a few weeks in full detail, but here's a quick summary of this particular console. This is a universal console which provides phaser damage. Very, very good to have. Auxiliary power, something decent for when you're using this. Starship drain expertise, something the other pieces of this set does shield drain damage, so very nice to have. And I've actually put some extra shield drain powers on. And we've got the 2-piece. We get increased accuracy and increases the potency of the relevant weapons shield range. So very nice, even better to have. And you also get a clicky power, which does some damage, quite a bit of damage. But that will take take 2 minutes to recharge. Yes, it does. And that's. And finally, I just picked up the enhanced soliton wave generator. This basically is a AOE grab, which looks a bit like this, and it pulls in enemies around you and makes it easier for you and gives a bit of a and does some damage on the way out. This will make it easier for you to do your damage. Next up is the second piece from the Into the Nexus, is a trilithium enhanced omnidirectional phaser beam array. This is one of two known phaser beam arrays. This one is particularly decent because it's got it's got various other stuff, and it goes well with, with the speed tweak because the other second piece is because it's got second piece. With the second piece with the reinforced armaments engineering console, it boosts your engineering weapon fire rate. Now, this blue phaser is just a standard drop phaser from the reputation systems. And I recommend picking up getting better phasers than what comes in the system, with like in the back of the main radar of the backs. This is also a standard quantum torpedo, but I recommend sticking the quantum phase torpedo here in the back once you get the Day 60's build, but I haven't been able to get that at the moment. There's also talk about the second one is the quantum phase beam away from Sunrise, and also the quantum phase torpedo also from Sunrise, and both of these provide some decent drain and does some damage, quite decent damage as standard beam aways are. Then there is the wide-angled dual heavy beam away, which provides somewhat of a unique thing for the Discovery reputation, and it provides a near a 135 targeting angle, which means that you can get do damage in a lot wider than the 90 degree from the standard dual beam banks do. And now I actually had trouble picking the recommended for this ship. I had trouble picking picking the particular sets bonuses. I've actually ended up with two particular sets. I've chosen this one for the Day 60 build as the Iconian set, and this is a reasonably decent set. It was considered by many a couple of years ago as being the meta set, and this set is not particularly bad. It's just been outclassed by various other sets, which means you can't. But it does increase your weapon damage as well, and stuff. I picked the Iconium because it's one I had fun for, and it's actually one of the best decent sets. Now, one thing I haven't picked up is actually the Day 60 build is the Quantum Dark Matter torpedo, which is false from the Discovery set, and as you can see here, I haven't got enough Discovery marks to have it in my build, so I can't show you. Would be no. If it wasn't for that, this would be effectively my Day 60 build. Now, believe it or not, this particular setup is not considered by many the meta set, but because my rules do not include fleet weapons or low base ship or sea store ship gear, I don't use them. Now this is as I said, I picked my builds to be more defensive and less aggro building than they should be, but this is what you get when it's particularly tricky to get a good build going. Now, I will point out One is a engineering temporal officer. We have actually access to, in theory, 2 of them because of the because the beneath the skin is that okay. As you can see here, we got the function appropriate electric bridge officer. Now this means that means we have an electric temporal bridge officer. We have a temporal bridge officer in engineering available for us straight away. So that's the reason why I've decided to allow us to use it, and also for reaching level 62, we unlock the ability to give any single bridge officer one of the existing specializations. So technically, I have got 2. I've bought the at the moment the price of the specializations is low compared to some of the various other stuff I've been able to get, but as budget goes, I've had basically assumed that you've picked up either use the level 62 level 62 token or I've completed under the skin. Now let's get going with the various skills. Now I'm going to start with science. This is purely because science has photonic officer and hazard emitters. I've picked photonic officer for a very good reason. Now I'm going to activate some abilities on here. Yeah, I've got them all in line. Now photonic officer will decrease the time it takes to recharge your other bridge officer skills, and as long as they are not on the have a line across like this and going around like a clock, they will work like if they will basically cool down with photonic officer. Photonic officer 1 is not particularly brilliant, but it's the best I can get out of this build. And the alternative was to go Ox to Bat, which I hate to say is not particularly brilliantly easy for for someone who wants to build a who wants to build a ship relatively quickly, because getting the required technicians is a very long job involving visiting the Bitran cluster for several weeks back to back, but it is a consideration that I had done. So science is done. So let's cover our engineering shots. We've got engineering team and electrified shields to cover, basically gives us quite a bit of defense. Immensely powered to weapons 2 gives us our weapons quite a bit of boost of power. Very nice to have for when you've And then I've got reverse shield polarity 2, because the rule is no 3s unless I can find a complete source. No rank 3 powers unless I can find a source. It's definitely staying at 2, and this means that your shields you take less damage when you have this power active. And then there's Aeson Beam, which does radiation damage against opponents, and they deal out less damage. Very nice to have. So quite defensive, but it's got some quite defensive, but it's got a couple of offensive abilities. Now, we've got attack pattern beta 2 up here, which is which allows us to reduce the damage resistance to all enemies around you when you hit. Beam fire at will basically allows you to fire at multiple targets, and it hits random targets, 2 random targets per pulse, and once it increases its fire rate slightly, it does slightly less damage than normal, and it drops actually down a slight bit, so you do miss more often. But that's what you get with fire at will. Now, tactical team is one of the options I've considered for this slot. I have also considered torpedo spread as well. Both of those will fit very nicely in this ensign power slot. The tactical team increases your weapons training, and torpedo spread fires lots of torpedoes. Now you're moving on to the temporal operative skills. Now I've picked up 3 temporal operative skills, and I've got Chrome and Ticket Inversion Field to basically create an aerial shield damage in an area. And I've also picked up channel deconstruction, which does also another damage to certain targets. All very nice to have. And then finally, I picked up gravimetric conversion for the lieutenant slot, which basically does a lot of shield drain and what drops entropy from them. Very good to very good to basically weaken them a lot. And well, that's the thing. Weakening your targets means that you can survive a lot longer, and your friends can too. Overall, I find this ship a bit. It's got quite a few ideas about it, and that the universal temporal is pretty much a pickup. It doesn't allow you to do quite a few things as well. I'll also add that, in my opinion, that this ship can easily do is not a particularly bad ship, but there's definitely better ships out there. This has been my next show. I'd like to see you guys next time.